Hello everyone, it's Shannon here for Waffle Flower Crafts. In today's technique video, I'll be combining a couple of techniques to create a faux watercolored wreath. I'll be using this waffle flower product today, just this stamp set. It's called Hello Fall. I'll be using the outline images for this wreath that I'm creating today. I'm not going to use the more solid second layer images today, just those outline. I'm going to start with a panel of Bristol paper. I've cut this panel a little bit smaller than an A2 panel, so it is, its measurements are 4 inches by 5 1/4, so I just cut off 1/4 inch. I'm now going to add a scored border around the panel using my scoreboard. I'm just nestling that panel into the 90-degree corner and then using the score tool to create a border. I'm stopping just short of the edge of the panel so I can create a continuous border. And I'll hold it up here to the frame or to the camera once I'm done, and you'll see how it creates a nice little frame. It's very hard to see on camera, but it does add a very slight detail, and it's nice to accent this wreath that I'm making. And I do use, there's two sides. There's going to be an embossed side and a debossed side. I'm using the embossed side, so I flipped the panel over and used the raised side. I'm going to make some masks now with my full adhesive post-it notes. I'm pulling off some of those images from the Hello Fall stamp set, and I'm going to stamp them on all at once on this post-it note in Memento Tuxedo Black. I'm using the outline images of all for all these stamps, except for one leaf is a solid image, only because the outline images is all on the inside of the stamp or the interior of the image, and I wouldn't have a very good border, or it wouldn't make a very good mask. And I'll show it up to the camera once I'm done stamping. So after I stamped all these, I'm going to do some fussy cutting and cut those masks out. And I wanted to show, so here are the two leaves that I didn't bother cutting the stems for because the stems are very small. It would be basically impossible to do. But you can also see that dark leaf right there. I did the solid stamp as opposed to the linear one because the linear one would not make it would be difficult to make a good mask with that. So now I'm going to take that Bristol panel and sketch a circle. I'm just going to use a cup to create my circle. You could use a die. If you had a die, I didn't have a circle die that was quite the right size, so I'm just using a cup. Sketched it on there with the pencil. I'll erase it later, and I'm going to pull out some of the Distress Oxides that I'm using today. I'm using 6. I'm using candied apple, spice marmalade, wild honey, seedless preserves, walnut stain, and peeled paint. I'm going to start by stamping that pumpkin in the spice marmalade, and then I'll put that mask right on top of it, and it pretty much followed this pattern. I'll stamp and then put the mask on top as I work. I'm going to now do one of the leaves in the seedless preserves, and then another one of the leaves in the candied apple, and then I'm going to put the corresponding masks directly on top of those stamped images. Now this is Distress Oxides, so they do stay a little bit liquid. You do have to be a little bit careful, but I didn't bother drying in between stamping, so I just put the masks right on top. But I'm just warning you just in case. Be mindful of that and not brush your hand across the surface. There's that more solid image I'm putting over the linear image that I stamped, that leaf, and now just gonna continue stamping this till I get the whole wreath completed. So I'm going around that whole pencil circle that I made, moving masks and repositioning them as need be, and this just makes sure that I don't have any overlapping of the images. I think it creates a prettier wreath that way. You can definitely stamp this without creating masks. I did do that as well, and I'll show you that wreath at the end of the video. So you can save time by just this and not bothering doing the masks. But again, I really liked the masks. I liked that it didn't have overlapping of the leaves. I just thought it was a cleaner, prettier look. I'm going to put on some music here for you guys, and I'll come in as soon as I'm done with the wreath. So I'm just finishing up here with one of the twigs, or I guess tiny branches, in the Hello Fall stamp set, just to fill out that wreath a little bit more. So there's the completed wreath. Really pretty as it is. You could leave it alone at this point, but I'm going to take it a step further here by watercoloring it. I've heat set it so all the Distressed Oxides are dry, and now I'm taking my eraser here and just erasing that pencil line behind the wreath. Just removing that really quick. So here's my water brush, and I have a towel handy because I'm going to dry my towel and clean my brush off frequently. I'm going to start with the pumpkin here again, and I'm just going to take that water brush and move that water around to activate that stamped ink, and that ink becomes liquid again, and I'm moving that liquid ink over the surface of the paper to kind of color in the leaves, as well as move that color towards the center of the wreath. I'm trying to create a gradation too, where it's darker towards the exterior of the wreath and a little bit lighter as it gets towards the inside. And that kind of just happens naturally because the highest pigment is in the wreath, and when I try to pull that color out, it does lighten as I get towards the center and get further away from the stamped image. So it does it kind of naturally, but that is definitely the look I'm trying to go for. This is really simple to do, and you don't need a water brush to do this either. You can use just a regular brush and some water, but the water brush is just nice and handy because it's already got its little capsule full of water and ready to go. So I just continue to go around the whole wreath, activating that ink, coloring those stamped images, and then pulling that reactivated ink towards the center to kind of color in the center of the wreath. And that's how I'm doing this wreath a little bit differently than how you normally see wreaths. Normally it's just that wreath ring colored and not the interior of the wreath, but I like that interior section color because it's a really nice backdrop for my sentiment, which I'll stamp as soon as I'm done watercoloring this. It really helps that sentiment to pop, and I think it's just a nice way to do a wreath a little bit differently. And these stamp sets with these smaller images can sometimes be hard to see what their potential is, but wreaths is a great way to use some of those smaller stamped images. So it's just a really pretty, and there's so much you can do with them, but it really creates a beautiful wreath. So I'm finished the watercoloring now. I'm going to heat set that, and now I'm ready to stamp my sentiment. The sentiment says Hello Fall, and again, this is from the Hello Fall stamp set. I'm inking it up in Distress Oxide Walnut Stain. Just gonna center it here and stamp it right in the center. And that's complete. I'm just going to heat set it here because, again, those Distress Oxides, like pigment inks, have stay wetter longer, so I just don't want to smudge it or anything. Now I'm going to take a white gel pen just for a finishing touch here and go around the edge of the sentiment. I'm going along to create kind of a shadow, so I'm just adding gel pen to the left side and bottom of all the letters. And this creates just... It's very, very faint, and again, this is not something that is necessary by all means, but I think it adds just a nice little detail and kind of brings in that stark white that's the Bristol paper. So that's all done now. Now all I have to do is mount it onto my card base. So this is an A2 top folding white card base made from 110-pound white cardstock. I'm going to use tape runner here to stick it down and center it, and then stick that right down there. And again, that panel's a little bit smaller, so there's a small border. Using a towel there just to make sure I don't smear any of the ink from the oils in my hand or anything. And that card is finished. So very pretty, very simple, but really beautiful look. And I'm going to hold up here to the camera one that I did where I did not mask, because remember I told you you can do this without masking. Here's the wreath that I made without masking, and it's still very pretty. I just think that the masked wreath has a slightly cleaner look, but both very beautiful. And I want to show you how versatile this technique is. You can use it for different shapes of wreaths. It could be square or heart like this one here, and it can have a whole different theme and feel, more of a spring or summer feel, really whatever you like. So I hope you guys enjoyed my video today,
And if you want any more information on the products I use, please visit waffleflower.com, and you can follow us on YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook for more creative ideas. Thanks for watching.